And now tonight's Aladdin's Cave. We have a treasure trove of property which has been recovered by police. Maybe some of it is yours. There's a photograph of some of it in the Radio Times. This month's collection comes from Hertfordshire and Cheshire, but since most of it's been stolen, it could in fact have come from anywhere in the UK. And here's John Bly of the Antiques Roadshow, who's going to take us through it. John.
Thank you, Sue. Well, the first important object tonight is this truly beautiful figure of a young girl in medieval costume, signed Carrier-Belleuse. Her wonderful face is in ivory, and so too are the hands. A super figure. She's so graceful and elegant. I really hope we find the owner for her. That would be wonderful, because she's very valuable, well over £2,000, and something well worth tracing. Next, we've got something which is totally different. These are figures, no less valuable, but no less important to us. If you can recognise any one of these pottery ornaments, then, while they're not especially rare, you could help solve a crime. I'm particularly fond of the one at the front. Little granny sitting there. She's not very old, really, but isn't she lovely? A little sort of figure of Western happiness. Now we've got a figure of Eastern happiness, and this chap is Ho Tai. He's Japanese, Pu Tai to his Chinese friends. He's one of the 7 gods of good fortune, so let's hope he has the good fortune to be reunited with his owner tonight. And now to these absolutely wonderful, magnificent gilt metal lamps from the late 19th century. Originally, these would have furnished the newel posts at the bottom of a grand staircase in one of those majestic Victorian houses. Now, here's another important lot. This is a Britannia metal American-style water pitcher. It has a tipping action of its own and its own stand. And this has got an inscription to help us identify it. It says, presented to Lieutenant Sidney Ascough Perry Ascough, RN, as a token of esteem and affection from the coloured stevedores of the Naval Transport Depot, Cape Town, South Africa, January 1902. Oh, there can't be many of those around. There could be a lot of these, except the inscription on this little cup makes it totally unique. And what a lovely little bit of nostalgia. For it says here, the USLTC, presumably Lawn Tennis Club, Mixed Doubles Handicap, 1933. Now, you know, that's when gentlemen wore long trousers to play tennis. Those were the days. Those were the days, too, when large tables were graced by great centerpieces like this one. I imagine that the original of that was in cut glass and very, very large and sparkling. But the original of this, believe it or not, was black plastic, for Mr. Nigel Hayter Preston has actually lost his gold disc. So Nigel Hayter Preston, if you're looking in tonight, wherever you may be, then please give us a ring at Crimewatch UK.
If there's anything that you do recognise, do give us a call. This is the number, as always, 01811 8055. 01 if you're outside London, 811 8055.
Well, now to our Aladdin's Cave. From gold watches to stuffed ducks, stolen valuables recovered by the police who need to find their owners. To describe them, here's John Bly from the Antiques Roadshow. John.
Thank you, Sue. Well, in between those two extremes, we've in fact got some very good furniture. For example, we've got a little child's chair here, with a rush seat straight out of somebody's Victorian playroom, but it's got a distinctive little pattern carved in the top rail. Somebody ought to recognise that. Through that, and rather quickly passing some unmusical musical gongs to something that I really do enjoy talking about, and that's a decent bit of English furniture. We've got here a little George III whatnot, I suppose about 1820 to possibly 1830. Lovely quality, 4 tiers, little turn columns and ending in a drawer at the bottom. That's a very scarce item now, you know, especially of this quality, as I say. And talking of quality, how about that for the best of English porcelain painting? What a treasure. You'd never find a better example than that. We've got, too, a little chest, a little box here, rather. This is rosewood. It's Regency. It's about 1820, 1825. It's got distinctive little inset panels of mother of pearl. Also, the inside bears its original paper. It's been forced open, I'm afraid, but it's not beyond repair. Nor, too, is this little folding bridge table of the Edwardian period. A lovely quality thing with lots of rosewood marquetry panels. Somebody must be missing that. How do they play bridge without it? My favourite, though, really is this miniature chest of drawers, made between about 1805 and 1810. It's datable fairly accurately by this little black line around each drawer, these lovely type of escutcheons, campaign escutcheons, and then totally original are these little splay feet at the bottom. Now, you know, some people call these chests apprentice pieces. Others see them as miniature samples of full-size furniture. Whatever their original use, they're now most commonly used, and ideally so, for taking jewellery caskets. Now, talking of jewellery, perhaps the most upsetting loss is that of jewellery because it's so much more personal than the other antiques we deal with. For example, Rita's husband must be missing this little medallion, and these photographs must mean something very dear and very precious to somebody. Back here in the antique line, I've got one of the best 18th century pocket watches I've seen for a long time. This is by Prevost of London. I'm going to open it and hope that you can see the extraordinarily fine detail on the inside. What a work of art that is. That certainly is worthy of any fine collection, and of course Aladdin's cave. Now, Sue mentioned earlier stuffed ducks. Before you can mount a family of ducks like that, you've actually got to catch them. And I'm quite sure that this decoy brought about the downfall of many a good duck. These are now highly collectible, some of them making hundreds of pounds. Not this one, but this is distinctive because it has a splash of red paint on the front. Perhaps you spilt the paint, or you know somebody who did. Anyway, if you recognise this or anything else here, please give us a ring.
Indeed, here's the number 018118055, 018118055. Well, now, to cheer ourselves up a little bit, to our Aladdin's cave. Stolen treasures recovered by the police. This month they include ivories dredged up from a lake in Kent and a house full of antique furniture. If you know who owns them, please give us a call. Here to take us through them is John Bly from the Antiques Roadshow. John.
Well, thank you, Nick. I'm sorry you missed my recital, but somebody must be missing a grand piano. It's a Broadwood, and albeit a baby grand, it must be leaving quite a hole in someone's room. Sadly, for the first time, we've got some Bibles. I say sadly because these beautiful books are never of any great commercial value outside the family that owns them. Here we've got one which I think most charmingly records the history of the Maddock family, Elizabeth Caroline, born 1st of June 1862 at 7:45 on Sunday evening. Isn't that lovely? And we got that right the way through to 1967 with Herbert John Day. I hope that strikes a chord with somebody. You know, what never ceases to amaze me is the enormous amount of things that are imported from all over the world. Everywhere you look, we've got vases from India, vases from Turkey, carvings that Nick's just mentioned from Africa and India and Japan. And through the old port of Imari, this beautiful porcelain bowl, these lovely colours, which really gave the popularity of this, gave the name. It didn't come from there, it came through that port. This one has got a repair and is mended with a rivet. That in itself is a clue, because repairs with rivets have gone out of fashion for some time now. Much more recently, through the same port of Imari, came this Satsuma vase. And also we've got a huge heap of gold coins, including this, which obviously I think is the biggest bracelet I've ever seen. I think there must be at least £2,000 worth of gold there. I don't really want to put it down, but I suppose I must. We've got much more furniture than usual. One outstanding piece is this Chippendale style, but not period, buffet or sideboard, which has all the marks of a good 18th century piece, a bit of Chinese blind fret, a C scroll here, an S scroll, but put together in a Victorian way. Do you know, a few years ago, such a piece would probably make only a few pounds. Now, in the region of 1,000. We've also got a fine Admirable Fitzroy barometer, a very collectible thing, and also collectible, of course, today are toys. And here you've got a fort. Now, the fort is homemade and obviously of some sentimental value, but the lead soldiers themselves today are very collectible and worth quite a lot of money. But my favourite item this time is this pair of what first of all looks like cast iron figures. They are not, in fact, they are bronze, they're Regency, and they were originally little candelabra. They had an umbrella of wires. From each wire hung a crystal drop and a candle sconce in the top. Do you know, if these were restored, they'd be worth between £450 and £600. They're a lovely item. I do hope that you recognise something here. If you do, please give us a ring.
Indeed. If there is anything you think you do recognise, here is the number to ring, 01811 8055. And now to our Aladdin's cave. Maybe this month we should call it Santa's Grotto. At any rate, we have a treasure house of property recovered by police, and something here may be yours. If so, watch carefully. You could have it back for Christmas. Here's John Bly.
Hello. Well, whatever we call it, it's certainly a fantastic and glittering array. Look at this wonderful collection of clocks. Quite astounding. And then we've got enough cannon, soldiers, guns, pistols, to make an armoury. I think it's quite incredible, worth a programme on their own. And look at this. A little pair of lorgnettes. Now, I bet many of you will be saying, I've got some like that at home. But you haven't, you see, because these have a particularly unusual little handle of enamel, and they're silver mounted. Now, glass and silver always combine very well, and never better and more successfully than in a claret jug. This one's quite a good example, a fairly standard pattern with a straight tapering body and a plain top. But this one, absolutely stunning. A wonderful cut glass body with quite an important repoussé and chased plated lid. Now, all that part of it was silver would be worth a great deal of money, but even so, it's about £350. Now, if we're having dessert, we've had our wine, we'd go on to have our fruit. And if we were doing it properly, we'd use grape scissors. You can always tell a grape scissor because it's got this little flange down here. These are silver, and even those of the 1920s are quite valuable. They're about £200 today. The silver hallmarks thereon allow us to tell a great deal about silver, of course. And this little piece is modern. It's made in the Queen Anne style. The marks on that tell us that it is made of Britannia standard silver, which is a higher grade than sterling. And the owner would certainly be aware of the marks denoting this. Now, we do have one little piece of furniture, potentially, I think, the prettiest we've ever had on the programme, with a marquetry top and a cast gilt metal legs. Unfortunately, the little stretcher halfway down there has been replaced. But for the star of the programme, to me, it's got to be this collection of porcelain. Absolutely wonderful things here. Incidentally, in passing, if you have to pack up porcelain, never attach it, or the lids rather, with any adhesive tape, because when you take it off, you're going to pull the gold away, which is a great shame, so do be careful about that. But the star lot, as I say, has got to be this wonderful part dessert service. Just look at the colours. Each of those plates is individually painted. The borders are quite wonderful, and the gold work thereon is absolutely beautiful on every one. Important to us, though, is the diamond or kite mark on the back, which tells us precisely when the design was patented. In this case, the 14th of March, 1856. Now, aside from the value, which I suppose these plates are worth about £75 each, if I'd lost this, it's so beautiful, and I'd retrieved it, it would make my Christmas. I hope it makes someone's Christmas.
Thank you, John. And if that's you, or if there's anything else there you think you recognise, please do call us. 01 811 8055. That's 01 811 8055.